The series begins with a beautiful girl in high school named Sion. She's beautiful and academically excellent, which makes the other girls jealous of her. One day, when she goes to grab her umbrella, she's shocked to find nasty messages written on it. She overhears the girls bullying her, mocking her for being poor and for losing her mother at a young age. But our girl is strong. She's not one to be messed with. She tells them, "You think I'm easy prey? No, my dears, I'm not ordinary." She throws her books out the window and warns them, if they come near her again, she'll break their bones. She walks away, full of confidence. On the way home, a student waves at her and she gets nervous, only to realize he's waiting for his girlfriend. She feels embarrassed, never having been in a relationship before. She puts on her headphones and walks home. When she gets there, she finds her brother playing on the computer and the house is a mess, like a pigsty. She gets annoyed and tells him to stop playing and study. She starts cleaning the house, and after finishing, she goes to her room to sleep. But she's awakened by the sound of her brother again. Furious, she storms in, grabs him by the hair and yells, "Turn off that game!" He refuses, saying, "If I lose this game, I'll be a noob. My friends will bully me." This surprises Sion. She says, "How can my brother lose? I'm alive on this earth, you better focus." She sits in his place and decides to play the game herself. She promises to get him to the highest level in 2 days. She stays up late, fully immersed in the game. There, she encounters a player named the Black Dragon. She gets annoyed that he entered her zone and tells him to leave, but he refuses. They start fighting, and suddenly they're surrounded by wolves. The Black Dragon decides to fight them. He's strong and a high-level player, managing to defeat many of them, but suddenly his energy runs out. Feeling like it's the end, Sion decides to help. Her character is a healer, so she restores his energy. He's overjoyed and continues the battle, unleashing a powerful combo attack that defeats the wolves. But suddenly, the wolf boss appears. He's huge and powerful. They decide to team up and attack him together. They succeed in the impossible mission and make peace afterward. They agree to become a team, and the Black Dragon takes her to meet his friends in the game. She's surprised they're all high level like him. Everyone thinks she's a guy, and she feels shy, revealing she's actually a girl using her brother's account. This surprises the Black Dragon. He takes her to the beach and learns her mother passed away, and she takes care of her brother. He's touched by her story since he's lonely too. He suggests they become friends and play together every day. Sion is happy and agrees. Days pass, and they talk day and night, growing closer and closer, becoming a vital part of each other's lives. Sion starts to feel she might be falling for him. One day, the team decides to meet in real life. Sion is excited to finally meet the boy she likes. She arrives first and sits with the rest of the team, waiting for the Black Dragon. When he walks in, Sion is shocked to discover he's younger than her and realizes he lied about his age. She feels disappointed because the one boy she liked turned out to be younger. She gets angry and leaves. He runs after her, tries to apologize, and even kneels in the street confessing his love for her. He asks her to be his girlfriend, but she refuses and mocks him, saying, "Go get your vaccines, kid, and study something useful." She walks away in tears. Back home, she locks herself in her room and cries. Her dad is confused about her state, but her pig of a brother doesn't care, just turns up the TV volume. Sion decides from now on, she'll be strong and ruthless. Any guy who comes her way, she'll break his bones. Years pass, and our heroine grows into a beautiful, successful woman at work. We see her at her company, arguing with her boss who wants to resign. He begs her, saying, "Please, I have blood pressure and diabetes," but she snaps. "You want to quit over something so trivial? Pathetic?" We hear from her colleagues that she's obsessed with work and no manager can handle her. The first one was a creep who harassed employees. Sion grabbed his arm and almost broke it. The second was arrogant and smoked in meetings. Sion stormed in with a fire extinguisher, claiming she thought the building was on fire. Since then, no manager lasts long. Meanwhile, we see the Black Dragon, now grown into a handsome young man named Young, from a wealthy family. His grandmother owns many companies, and he's her heir. His secretary tells him his grandma has chosen his next assignment as a manager at Sion's company. Shocked, he decides to go out and unwind. He changes clothes and heads to his usual nightclub, dancing and singing until late. Suddenly, he gets a call from his grandma and speeds off to see her. In a hurry, he crashes into a car. Who else but Sion's? She gets out furious, eyes blazing. He gives her his card and says to call his secretary for compensation and repairs. He walks off, but our girl isn't having it. She rips up his card, grabs his clothes, and says, "Hey you! You should be worried about me, not the car." She wants to take him to the police. He says, "You look fine, like a monkey. Now let me go, I'm in a hurry." He gets in the car, but she jumps in with him saying, "Where you walk, I walk." He's forced to take her along. When they arrive, he tricks her with, "Look, a bird." She turns, and he escapes. He meets his grandmother, and she takes him to an employee's funeral. She reminds him to take responsibility for the company. Young promises he will. He returns home and goes into his secret room, full of posters and manga. Turns out, he's still addicted to gaming. Meanwhile, Sion vents to her friend about what happened. She swears, "If I catch the guy who hit my car, I'll turn him into French fries." Her friend calms her down and makes her favorite food. She also tells her a new manager is starting tomorrow. The next day, Young goes to the company but avoids entering his office. He walks among the employees and takes the elevator. He hears Sion talking loudly and takes a note to reprimand her. Later, when he enters his office, Sion comes to greet him and act nicely so he won't quit. The shock? She walks in on him changing and sees a dragon tattoo on his back. Embarrassed, she's about to scream, but he grabs her and both are shocked. They recognize each other. She realizes he's the guy who hit her car yesterday, the one she yelled at and almost hit. She's scared he'll fire her and apologizes. "You can break 1,000 cars, sweetheart. Hit us and we'll fix it. Just don't fire me." He tells her to forget about yesterday, and she agrees, saying, "Consider me a potato under your feet." But once she leaves, he makes a new note. "She's dangerous. Need to watch out." After work, Sion visits her friend's restaurant and tells her what happened. As usual, her friend calms her and makes her favorite meal. Sion notices there are no customers and suggests making an ad to attract people. "I'm your only customer. Why even open this place?" The next day, Young gathers the employees and introduces himself as the new manager. "The past is one thing. What's coming is something else entirely. I love order." Sion gets nervous, thinking he's targeting her. Her friends advise her to butter him up. "The more you do, the more he'll respect you." She agrees. After work, she sees him standing outside a shop. She thinks he wants coffee, but he's really craving sweets. Inside, he wants to buy a childhood toy, the last one available. A little boy wants it too. They start fighting. Suddenly, Sion shows up. Embarrassed, he pretends to give the toy to the kid as a gift and pays for it. He returns to the company, tears in his eyes. He remembers Sion saw him, thinks she's a threat who could expose his childish side. Back at his office, he asks his secretary to dig up info on Sion. He makes it his mission to get her to resign. He starts overwhelming her with questions and work, expecting her to quit. But Sion thrives under pressure. She tells him it's easy and she'll finish early. Young starts to suspect she's superhuman. Sion's team throws a welcome party for the new manager. She doesn't want to invite him, but is shocked when he shows up. Nervous, she pretends to be happy and greets him. They end up in a drinking contest. Whoever drinks more goes to hell first. Their team leaves, and the two go head-to-head until the restaurant runs out of booze. Young loses, gets drunk, and starts acting silly. His true personality shows. He mumbles in his sleep, "You're worse than the first. Get me chocolate juice." Sion is puzzled, but she gets him the juice and puts him in a taxi. The next day, Young wakes up, remembers what happened, and is mortified that Sion saw his true self. He's terrified she'll expose him and decides to get rid of her before she does. Sion, meanwhile, recalls his goofy behavior and decides to tell her team, but Young walks in just in time and shuts them all up, yelling at Sion and calling her a failure. She feels humiliated and follows him, arguing. She nearly hits him and says she's ready to resign if it means preserving her dignity. Her team member pulls her away, saying she's still drunk. The secretary tells Young that Sion is one of the company's top employees. He can't afford to fire her. Young feels guilty. Sion also regrets what she said, especially after finding out he's the heir. She decides to spy on him, hoping to catch something she can use against him. After work, she follows him in disguise and sees him change into childish clothes and enter his usual club. She snaps pictures of him dancing like a teenager. She sends them to him, threatening to expose him. Suddenly, he shows up at her house. Her dad assumes he's her boyfriend and invites him in. They talk, and he begs her to delete the photos in exchange for keeping her job. She agrees, signs a contract, and deletes them. She thinks it's over, but the next day, he keeps calling her with non-stop work. She finds out the contract forces her to obey his orders and always be available, his way of keeping her close and making sure she doesn't reveal his secret. At night, he takes her shopping to pick out a suit for a formal event. She picks a nice one, admiring how handsome he looks. He buys her a dress, and when she wears it, he's stunned by her beauty, not knowing she's the same girl who once rejected him when they were younger. Meanwhile, someone from Sion's team, named Lou, sees an ad for her friend's restaurant and goes to try it. As he crosses the street, distracted, he's nearly hit by a car. Luckily, Sion's friend saves him just in time. Lou stares into her eyes. Bambir is captivated by her beauty and feels an attraction toward her, but she feels embarrassed and pulls away from him. Later, his girlfriend arrives and gets jealous after seeing what happened. They sit together at the restaurant, and she tells him that she wants to break up with him. He doesn't believe it at first, but then agrees right away because today he saw the girl of his dreams. He sits alone in the restaurant, and Sion's friend serves him his favorite dish, trying to lift his mood. She comforts him, telling him not to worry, that a deer will come again, hinting that she is the deer. Later, Young takes Sion with him to a party and asks her to wait while he goes to greet his friends. But a wealthy young man notices her beauty, grabs her hand, and tries to talk to her, likely thinking she's there alone. He doesn't realize she's just sitting on the bench. She kicks his leg and warns him to stay away, but he gets angry because he's from a rich family and tries to slap her. At that moment, Young arrives, grabs his hand and tells him, "If you're rich, there are those richer than you," and pushes him into the swimming pool to teach him a lesson. He then grabs Sion's hand and pretends in front of everyone that she's his girlfriend. Our heroine is surprised by what he did and nervously asks, "You're talking to me? I'm your girlfriend?" Young feels embarrassed and acts like he didn't mean it seriously. He changes the subject, telling the guy he pushed into the pool that Sion is an important employee of his, and he takes her away with him. A storm breaks out, and he puts her in his car. Sion is surprised and asks how he knew it was going to rain. He points to his watch, which shows the daily forecast so he can be prepared. But she pushes him away and says she wants to leave because she's hungry. He feels bad and takes her to a restaurant so she can eat. There, Sion tells him, "Surely you're not going to watch me all night," and reassures him that she won't tell anyone his secret, so he doesn't have to worry. He refuses at first, but when he sees her playing with the doll bride, he realizes she's just a girl at heart and agrees to let her go. Sion is happy and runs home, where she finds out that the dress he got her is extremely expensive. She decides to return it to him tomorrow because she can't afford to pay for it. Suddenly, the room's light bulb burns out, and she has to replace it. When her father walks in, he's happy to see her handling things on her own. At that moment, Young is still at his friend's restaurant and tells her that he saw her ad and starts giving her advice, teaching her how to photograph the food in an appealing way to attract customers. She's delighted and starts trying it out, but accidentally touches his hand and feels her heart race. She finds herself attracted to him too. The next day, Sion goes to the company and returns the dress to Young, but he asks her to wash it first. She feels awkward because she only wore it once, but agrees anyway. Later, Young goes into his office and remembers how she looked in the dress. He wants to keep it because it suits her so well. Sion returns to her team, clearly annoyed, and starts insulting him. But suddenly, he walks in, and she panics and changes the subject, pretending she was talking about someone else. Her team starts to suspect something based on her behavior, especially since it's the first time they've seen her afraid of their boss. Usually, it's the boss who fears her. Later, Young takes her with him to his eyewear store. There, a disgruntled customer is upset because he bought expensive glasses that broke and now cost a lot to fix. Young talks to him and says, "If you don't appreciate the value of these glasses, don't buy them in the first place." He puts them on and starts acting like a model. Meanwhile, Sion tries to calm the customer down from another angle and tells him to buy a new pair. It'll be cheaper in the long run. He listens to her and agrees, but when he puts on the new glasses, Young is shocked to realize he's his favorite singer, the one he listens to all the time. He's stunned because he almost got into a fight with him and thanks Sion for saving him. He keeps staring at the singer as he walks away, wishing he could take a photo with him. Sion decides to help and offers to get his autograph. He's thrilled and quickly hands her a pen and paper. Sion does it, and Young takes a photo of them together so he can keep a picture of the singer. He holds the autograph tightly all the way back, full of joy. Sion is surprised by his personality. As she's walking, lost in thought, she nearly falls into the water, but Young catches her just in time. In true romantic fashion, the water fountain suddenly turns on. They stare at each other. Young is captivated by her beauty and feels like he's seen her before. When he gets back to the office, he talks to the secretary and learns that Sion is very skilled at her job. He changes his mind and decides to let her stay at the company. At the same time, Sion is talking to her team about him, saying he's smart, good at his job, and kind of sweet as a manager. They're surprised by her words, especially since she was just insulting him that morning. She stays late working. Young sees her and tells her to go rest. He also tells her to keep the dress because it looks nice on her. She's surprised by his words, but he gets embarrassed and says, "I meant the dress looks good, not you. Don't get the wrong idea," and leaves. When he gets home, he finds Lee waiting for him. We learn that Lee is his cousin. He asks Young if he plans to get married. Young remembers the day Sion rejected him when they were younger. We learn she was his first love, and he still hasn't forgotten her. He's still searching for her. He then goes into his secret room and places the singer's autograph there. He plays music and starts cleaning while dancing because none of the staff know about this room. But he keeps thinking about Sion because she was kind to him, and he's confused about his feelings. The next day, he goes to the company and runs into her in the elevator. She comes closer to him to check something near his watch, which makes Young nervous because she touches his hand. They stare at each other, but suddenly the secretary enters. They both feel embarrassed and pull away. The secretary finds a toy on the floor. Young is shocked and suspects it might be his. He leaves the place and goes home to confirm. When he enters the room, he realizes the truth and becomes upset. He remembers a flashback from when he was young. We learn that his grandmother was strict with him because he was the only heir to the company. She made him give up all his toys and warned him that if she ever caught him playing again, she would make him regret it. From that moment, Young has kept his real personality hidden because he's afraid of his grandmother. He snaps out of his memories and returns to the company, where he overhears Sion's team mocking the toy, saying its owner must be a loser with no life. He's hurt by their words. When Sion enters his office, he treats her coldly because she was standing with them. He tells her to return the dress, which hurts her feelings. She tells him, "Do you think you can buy me with your money?" "I'll return the dress." "Fine. It was just a dream anyway." She tries to contact the customer to return it, but he refuses. Later, Young returns to his secret room and plays music to cheer himself up. Suddenly, the power goes out due to a malfunction. He decides to call an electrician, and by coincidence, it's Sion's father, who owns a workshop. But he tells Young he's too busy. Young offers him a lot of money. Sion is surprised and tells her father, "Don't go. I'll go instead. She takes the address and tools and heads there, but Young refuses to open the door because he doesn't want anyone to discover his secret. He watches her from his car and tells her the passcode to enter Oto. When she enters, she sees the singer's autograph and is shocked. She realizes Young is Oto. He sees her and is shocked that she discovered everything. He runs to catch her, but she enters the room and sees everything. Young remembers a flashback to the worst day of his life. He was at an amusement park with his parents, thrilled because they were kind and loving. But suddenly, his father had an accident. His mother hugged him to protect him, and sadly, both of them died. He was the only one who survived. From that day, his grandmother became harsh, blaming him for their deaths. He felt she hated him. But when he got older, he once saw her crying in her room. He felt sorry for her because she lost her only son, and he felt guilty. He promised to take responsibility and become the man his father was. From then on, he studied hard to fulfill his promise and become a successful CEO like his father. But he always felt lonely because he couldn't play like other kids his age. That's why he created a secret room and made it his own world, living there alone. He snaps out of his thoughts and is surprised to see Sion enter the room, admiring the toys. But he lies to her, saying the room belongs to a friend's young son and asks her to leave. She refuses and insists on fixing the electricity in her father's place. She succeeds and plays some music, which makes Young happy, and he starts dancing without realizing. When he notices, he quickly stops the music, embarrassed. He tells her he and his nephew like the same songs, but she starts to suspect he's lying and that the room is really his. She picks up a manga magazine from the shelf. He gets angry and takes it from her, saying it's a rare edition. She notices he knows all the magazine dates and realizes he's lying, especially since she knows he has no relatives. She confirms the room is his. Young is scared, thinking she might blackmail him or reveal his secret. But instead, she says something that comforts him. "You have good taste." Suddenly, she steps back, trips over a wire, and nearly falls, but as usual, Young catches her just in time. They stare at each other, and both feel their hearts beating faster. They're clearly attracted to each other. After that, Sion gathers her tools, and Young tells her he sent the money to her father's account. She thanks him and says she'll repay the cost of the dress. Suddenly, she gets a call from her father and finds out he fell at the workshop and broke his leg. She rushes to the hospital, and Young gets worried about her. At the hospital, he asks the doctor to book her father a private room and even pays all the hospital costs. Sion is touched by his kindness and realizes he's not the person she thought he was. After he leaves, she stays by herself, thinking of the day her mother died. She's scared for her father. Suddenly, Young returns with food and sees her crying. He feels sorry for her but doesn't want to embarrass her, so he just leaves the food and texts her to come get it. Later, her younger brother arrives at the hospital, sees their father in bed covered up, and thinks his condition is serious. He cries over him, promising to study and succeed. But then he realizes it's actually Sion in the bed. She tells him people die, and he has to keep his promise. Afterward, she stays with her father until he falls asleep, but her brother insists she go rest too, promising to stay with their dad. She agrees, goes to pick up her tools from Young's place, but when she tries to leave, they realize her car broke down. Young worries about her and insists on fixing it. He takes her to a repair shop and tells her his parents died in an accident. He asks her to drive safely, but the mechanic says the car needs time to fix. So Young decides to lend her one of his cars until hers is repaired. Sion is shocked and tries to refuse, but he insists, saying, "You work for me. If something happens to you, work will be affected." Tars Young listens to her and gives her the car. She's happy with his attention and realizes that he's actually kind. The next day, Young attends an important meeting, but a child bumps into him, causing his tablet to fall and break. It had important files on it. Luckily, Young had made a backup on his computer. The secretary asks him for the computer password so she can retrieve the files, but Young gets nervous and refuses, saying he'll handle it. He calls Sion and tells her he needs her for a secret mission. He goes into the bathroom so no one hears him and asks her to turn on his computer and send him the files. He tells her the password, feeling embarrassed. Sion is shocked to find out his password is One Piece Uncle Attack on Titans. If you're asking who those are, well, maybe you're not an anime fan after all, dear viewer. Sion bursts out laughing, realizing how childish and obsessed with anime he is. She sends him the files he needs. Afterwards, Young returns to the company feeling upset because every now and then, a new secret about him is revealed. But Sion gives him the chocolate drink he loves, and he's happy, drinks it, and decides to trust her. Sion remembers the black dragon she used to play with as a child because she trusted him, and she feels like she's missing him without realizing Young is actually him. Later, he leaves and heads home, but on the way, he runs into Sion's friend in the street. She's shocked to see him because she used to play with them and realizes he's the black dragon who was on their team. She panics, and he ends up sitting with her. He asks her not to tell anyone, and if she sees him again, to pretend she doesn't know him. Then he leaves. The next day, he holds a meeting at the company and decides to test the employees to see who actually cares about work. He presents a failed project idea, but surprisingly, everyone agrees to it except for Sion, who objects. He realizes she has integrity and decides to trust her more and promotes her. However, she gets upset that he was testing her. After the meeting, she leaves and stands alone. Young follows her and tries to make it up to her. He decides to take her out to cheer her up. He takes her to a game store and they challenge each other and start playing. At first, Sion is winning, but Young decides to focus, takes off his suit, and plays with full force. Despite that, Sion, being smart, still wins. Everyone is impressed by her talents and claps for her. Young feels jealous because she beat him, so he decides to make up for the loss and challenges her in other games. They keep playing together and spend a nice time, feeling happy and comfortable with each other for the first time. Then her friend calls, and when she finds out she's with her boss, she invites them to come eat at the restaurant. Sion is happy and agrees. As they're about to arrive, she notices her shoelace is untied, but Young kneels down and ties it for her. They both feel awkward from how close they got. Suddenly, her friend sends her a message that ruins the romantic moment, saying, "Don't come." She tells her that the black dragon is at the restaurant. Sion is shocked and scared to face him. She grabs Young and runs away. Her friend sees them running from outside the restaurant and realizes the black dragon is actually her boss. She's stunned. Young is confused about what happened, and Sion apologizes, telling him her ex is in the restaurant and she doesn't want to see him. She leaves and heads to the bus stop, but he insists on staying with her until the bus arrives. Sion thanks him and gives him a gift she won from the game store. Our hero is, of course, delighted and decides to add it to his collection. He watches her until the bus comes and makes sure she gets on safely. The next day, Sion goes to have breakfast with her friend and asks why the black dragon was at the restaurant. Her friend gets nervous and tells her he just came to say hi. She then asks, "What would you do if the black dragon became successful?" Sion mocks her and says the black dragon is lame and a failure, and there's no way she'd love him. Suddenly, Young calls her. She answers respectfully, afraid of him, and decides to go see him. You're in for a shock later, but patience, dear viewer. Later, while walking, she sees Lei standing with Young. She's surprised and goes to talk to him. She asks how he knows Young and demands that he tells her everything. Lei agrees and starts to explain. He says, "He's basically like my cousin, but he's obsessed with games. When I was in the military, he used to visit me. One time he told me he loved a girl he played with online. I encouraged him to confess, and he did. But she rejected him and humiliated him. Since then, he's been traumatized by girls." Lei finishes his story and says that afterwards, Young decided to become successful and inherit the company. and if he ever meets that girl again, he'll make her regret what she did. Her friend is shocked to realize that the girl is Sion, and that if she finds out the truth, the whole company could be destroyed. Lei gets scared, and they both agree to try to keep them apart to avoid problems. The next day, they execute the plan. Young waits for Sion in the elevator, but Lei runs and gets in with him instead. He closes the elevator before she arrives, claiming he's in a hurry. He lies and tells Young that Sion likes someone at work to make him dislike her and push her away, but it backfires. Young walks into the office feeling happy, thinking about the time she gave him the game as a gift, telling himself she must like him. He starts laughing, but at night, when he leaves the company, he sees her sitting with another employee. He's shocked and feels jealous. He pretends not to care and goes home. He tries to read a manga magazine to forget her, but keeps imagining her laughing. His feelings are confused, and he decides to go talk to her. He sits with her and confronts her, saying he saw her with another employee and claims she won't be able to focus on work. But she tells him there's nothing between them, and they were just talking about work stuff. Young is surprised and embarrassed. He tries to change the subject and then walks her home. Her brother sees them together and asks their dad if her boss might like her, but her brother insists that his sister is mean and no one would ever like her. Their father gets mad at his daughter. Sion gets angry at her brother and hits him. The next day, she attends a company meeting and learns that a farm owner is refusing to work with them, which could lead to big losses. But Sion doesn't give up and decides to visit her to convince her. Meanwhile, Young is playing baseball. The secretary finds out what's happening and decides to go help Sion. Sion takes multiple buses until she reaches the farm. She meets the old lady farm owner, who helps her and carries her bag. The lady is happy with Sion's kindness, but when she finds out Sion is from the company, she refuses to deal with her. She says she'll never work with rich people because she hates them. Suddenly, Young arrives in his car, wearing a suit and smelling like wealth. Sion is scared he'll ruin the plan, so she lies and says, "Don't be fooled by the suit. He's my driver. He's poor and starving." They take the old lady home and decide to help her with farm work to win her over. They carry heavy things and even clean the animals, but the old lady is stubborn and insists on her decision. Young feels discouraged and loses hope, but Sion refuses to give up. She goes to talk to the old lady and keeps pestering her. However, she trips and falls. Young tries to catch her, but he falls too. I won't say where they landed, dear viewer. The old lady has to take them to her house to change clothes and spend the night. Young is surprised that the house is so small. Sion is scared of getting exposed, so she tells him to act like he's her driver. She says, "Shut up or I'll slap you." She tells him the old lady is simple and donated all her money. Young apologizes to her. They all sit down to eat. The old lady is kind and shows them a picture of her granddaughter. She says she has no one but her and wants her to be proud of her. Young is moved by her words and remembers how harsh his grandmother was with him. He envies the granddaughter. After dinner, he sits with Sion alone in the garden. Sion apologizes for how she treated him, but Young is impressed with her personality. She shows him the stars. It's a romantic scene. They stay up together all night, and it's obvious they like each other, but neither admits it. Suddenly, Sion gets a call from her friend and steps aside to answer. When she returns, she finds Young asleep. She tries to wake him, but he's not fully conscious. Out of nowhere, he moves toward her and feeds her kataya, a Ramadan sweet. She goes back to her room and keeps thinking about what happened. She's flustered until the morning. She's nervous and confused about her feelings. She thinks Young must like her. When she goes outside, she finds him waiting for her. He asks her to come with him to a place. She's surprised, thinking he's finally going to confess his feelings. She walks with him, feeling shy. Before he speaks, she says, "Give me a chance to say something," but he's confused. He takes her to a lake. She's surprised and tells herself, "He must have brought me here to confess." He tells her this is where the farm lady makes her products and lets her try them. She gets mad and tries to leave, but the ground is slippery. She stumbles and almost falls, but Young catches her. They hold hands and stare at each other. Why are you looking at me, dear viewer? Like and subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed, turn on the notification bell. Just like those two looking at each other and getting closer, we'll look at them too. Later, they return to the farm. Sion is surprised to learn the old lady agreed to work with their company. Young thanks her, but Sion scolds him, saying, "How can a poor driver talk to her like that?" But then she's surprised to find out the old lady knew he was the boss all along. Turns out, Young had spoken to her earlier that morning and told her he was the company heir. He convinced her to cooperate and promised to donate to charity. Sion is impressed and thanks the old lady. They say goodbye and drive away. On the road, Young says he wants to talk about what happened last night. Sion is excited, thinking he'll finally confess. She opens the window to feel the breeze, but he simply thanks her for her effort and says she worked hard. Sion gets upset and stays mad the whole ride. When they get back, she's angry with him. He doesn't understand why. She enters her house and starts breaking things. Her father is confused by her behavior. She tells him she's angry and this is the only way to calm down. He backs off, scared, because he doesn't know who she's talking about. Maybe it's me? At night, she tries to sleep but can't. She keeps telling herself she's wrong and doesn't love him. She decides to call him and wake him up. She asks, "Listen, what happened last night?" But he says he doesn't remember and wasn't fully conscious. She gets even angrier and hangs up on him. Young is confused and thinks she sees him as stingy. The next day, he decides to take everyone to lunch at a fancy restaurant. He orders shrimp and lots of seafood. He thinks Sion will thank him since she thinks he's stingy, but she ignores him, takes the food, and eats alone. She's pissed off and keeps insulting him under her breath, but he hears her and sits next to her. He tries to understand why she's mad, but she doesn't respond. After lunch, her friend calls and asks about last night. Sion is angry and says her boss is dumb and careless. Her friend is happy, thinking the plan to split them is working. She suggests setting her up on a blind date with another guy, but Sion refuses, saying, "It's not that serious." When she comes out of the bathroom, she's shocked to find Young standing there. He asks her if she's going on a date. Sion decides to use the opportunity to make him jealous and admits she might go. She calls the secretary, and Young has to go with her. She tells him to focus on work if he wants his grandmother to make him the heir. Young goes back to his office, thinking about his memories with Sion and the sweet moments they shared. Every time she slips, he catches her, they stare at each other, and so on. He's confused and scared of losing her, but he has to listen to his grandmother because he wants her to acknowledge him. That night, Sion decides to go to his office and asks him if he disapproves of her going on a blind date. At that moment, he acts cold toward her and lets her know that he isn't interested in her personal life and that she's free to do whatever she wants. She's taken aback and walks away, upset. She gets in her car and decides to make him regret it, so she calls her friend and asks her to set up a blind date. Her friend is happy that her plan worked. That night, Sion goes to the arranged date and meets the guy she'll be getting to know. She finds out he's a lawyer, a handsome and successful man. He orders the food she likes, but when she sees the fish, she remembers Young taking her to a restaurant before. She's surprised she's still thinking about him. The next day, she attends a meeting with him, but they continue to treat each other coldly. The employees notice but are confused. When they leave the company, the lawyer is waiting for Sion. She acts rudely toward him in front of others and tells them she doesn't see Young as anything special. Young is hurt because she's not appreciating his efforts. He leaves and goes to the club he usually hangs out at, but this time he doesn't feel happy. He leaves the place, remembering what happened between him and Sion. Where, you ask? At the farm. He's surprised and decides to go to her. At that moment, Sion is with the lawyer at a clothing store. Suddenly, Young pulls her into a room. He remembers what happened between them yesterday at the farm and that it was his first time. Sion gets nervous from what he says, but suddenly, a store employee knocks on the door. Sion feels embarrassed and scared of being seen. She asks him to hide behind the door and goes out to talk to the employee. Young uses the opportunity to escape from the room. Then he changes his clothes and puts on his suit. He asks Sion to come with him. She asks where they're going, and he says he has an important meeting regarding what happened. She gets shy and leaves him. She goes back home and keeps thinking about him. She's confused and doesn't know if she likes him or not. The next day, she meets him at the company. He tries to talk to her, but she feels awkward and pretends to be busy. At lunchtime, she goes to the restaurant but sees him there too. She gets scared and leaves the place quickly. Young is confused by her behavior and doesn't understand why she's avoiding him. At the end of the day, he waits for her outside the company and tries to talk to her, but she tells him he's the director and future heir to the company and she's just a lowly employee, so there can't be anything between them. She says goodbye and leaves. Young is hurt by her words. When he gets home, he goes into his secret room and keeps thinking about her, realizing that he's already attached to her. The next day at the company, he gets into the elevator and hears her talking to someone about meeting up that day. He thinks it's the lawyer she went out with and gets jealous. He asks her if she's planning to date him, but she doesn't respond and tells him it's personal. She leaves, and he decides to confirm it himself. After work, he follows her to the restaurant and sees her feeding someone with her hands. He gets angry and tells the guy to keep his hands to himself. But he's shocked to find out that it's her brother and that she's actually out with her family. Sion's father invites him to join them for lunch. Of course, Young accepts immediately. After lunch, Sion takes Young aside and asks him why he followed her. He decides to finally confess his feelings to her, but suddenly his secretary calls and tells him that his grandmother is on her way to his house and might discover the hidden room. He panics, worried she'll destroy the secret toys inside. Sion notices his anxiety and tells him to calm down so he can think clearly. She decides to help him. Sion's friend blocks the grandmother's path to buy him more time. It turns out Sion is the one who asked her friends to do this. They use the opportunity to try and move the toys, but unfortunately, the grandmother arrives. Young has to go and greet her. She enters his office and starts snooping around. She's about to find the room, but instead finds a photo of him as a child with his parents. She gets angry and breaks it. Young is devastated. She cries and tells him he has no right to keep their photo because he's the reason they died. She leaves. Afterward, Sion comes out of the secret room. She overheard everything. She sees that Young is heartbroken and tries to comfort him. He tells her about the accident and says that his grandmother hates him because he caused her only son's death. That's why he decided to become a successful director, to make up for her son and earn her acknowledgement. That way, he'd become the rightful heir to the company. He confesses that he hides the things he loves from her, and that's why he was scared to tell her his feelings. Then, he gathers his courage and tells Sion he likes her. Sion is touched by his words, but she can't give him a response. When she returns home, she remembers her memories with him and the beautiful moments they shared. She decides to go to him. She leaves her house and runs until she finds him. She tells him that she agrees to be with him in secret. Young is overjoyed. He can't believe she loves him too. He gets closer and gives her raisins. Then they walk together. He asks her to keep his toys with her because he's scared, and they hold hands as he walks her home. But suddenly someone passes by, and they quickly pull away in case they're seen. When the person leaves, they hold hands again and continue walking. They hear a sound, and Sion gets scared and hides, but Young laughs and tells her it's just a cat. He reassures her and reaches out his hand. They keep walking until they reach her house. He tells her he loves her and says goodbye. They both feel like they're living the happiest moments of their lives. The next morning, Sion wakes up and finds him waiting outside her house. She's delighted and goes out to talk to him. Her father sees them and she gets nervous, pretending she came out to take the box from him. She ends up bringing Young inside so her father doesn't get suspicious. She shows him her room, and he sees the gift he gave her at the amusement park. He's happy that she still kept it. Then her father calls them for breakfast. They sit and eat with him, but her brother arrives and starts eating all the food. Sion gets angry and almost hits him, but stops and pretends to be cute in front of Young. Afterward, Young leaves for the company. He meets his secretary and asks her why she warned him that his grandmother might find out. She tells him that she wants him to be the heir because he's the one who truly deserves the position. He's happy to hear that and thanks her. Meanwhile, Sion's friend and the guy she's been seeing are getting along well, like two lovebirds who just want to eat each other up. They confess their feelings and are happy they both like each other. They decide to start dating. Later, Young and Sion get in the elevator together and pretend in front of the employees that there's nothing between them. Young tries to secretly hold her hand, but Sion feels shy and pulls away. When she gets to her office, a colleague talks to her and advises her to date someone older because he'd be more responsible. Young overhears and gets angry. He decides to make the guy regret it and keeps him stuck in the office all day, giving him lots of work. Later, he tries to talk to Sion, but she's scared their team might find out they're in love, so she acts cold in front of them and asks him to return to his office. Young feels embarrassed and walks away. In the evening, Sion apologizes to him and tells him she didn't mean to hurt him. She tells him she doesn't care about the age difference. Young is happy to hear that and tells her, "Look at that bird." When she looks, he sneaks a kiss on her cheek. That night, Sion goes to her friend's restaurant and finds out that she's now dating Leo. She's worried that he might be playing with her feelings, but is surprised to see that he's helping her at the restaurant. She's happy and realizes his feelings are genuine. When Sion leaves the restaurant, Young calls her and asks her to go on a date. She's excited and agrees. She goes to meet him and is surprised that he's still in his work suit, but she came prepared and brought him some clothes. He's touched by her care. He takes her to walk by the sea so that no one will see them. Then they sit and listen to music, but she tells him that the songs remind her of her ex because he used to play them. She says she hates him because he betrayed her and lied. Young asks her to forget the past and start fresh, not knowing that she's actually talking about him from the past. The next day at work, Leo looks at photos and realizes that Young is in a relationship. He suspects that it might be Sion. After work, he goes to the restaurant and talks to Sion's friend. She's shocked that he found out and is scared the two might learn the truth about each other. She doesn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Young calls Sion and asks her to come to him and bring a box of things she had at her place. She agrees and goes to look for it. While searching, she finds a figurine labeled Black Dragon and is shocked. She realizes the truth. When Young arrives, she confronts him and asks if he's the Black Dragon who used to play with her. Young is stunned and realizes she's the girl he once confessed his feelings to, who rejected him. They're both in shock. Sion tells him she can't speak and walks into the house, locking herself in her room. She remembers her childhood memories, and we learn that the kids used to bully her, calling her an orphan because her mother had died. That made her decide to take responsibility and be strong. But when she met Young in the game, she was happy to finally have someone to rely on and protect her, even if it was in a game. But when she found out he was younger than her, she felt disappointed and rejected him, deciding to go back to being alone. On the other side, Young is heartbroken too. He can't believe that the girl he loves is the same girl who rejected him, the one he used to hate. He's confused and doesn't know what to do. His secretary notices something is wrong and asks what's going on, but he doesn't tell her. Later, Leo invites him to a restaurant, and on the way, he decides to tell him that Sion is his ex, but he's surprised to find out that Young already knows. At the same time, Sion's friend meets her at the restaurant to tell her the truth, but is shocked to learn that Sion already knows too. Sion blames her for hiding the truth and not telling her. Her friend apologizes and says she didn't want to ruin her happiness. Sion is torn and doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, Young arrives and asks to talk to her. Her friend takes Leo and leaves them alone. Young tries to make up with her, but she takes him outside so no one will hear them. He apologizes and tells her he loves her, but she tells him they can't be together and they have to break up. She leaves him and cries. Young is stunned by her words and spends the whole night thinking about her. He looks at their pictures and can't believe they broke up. The next day at work, Sion starts ignoring him and treating him formally, but he asks her to come to his office because he wants to talk. He apologizes for lying to her in the game and says he loves her sincerely. He asks for another chance, but she refuses and tells him, "I truly loved you and trusted you, but you deceived me. I can't trust you again." She leaves and goes to the restaurant. Her friend notices she's upset and makes her favorite food to cheer her up. She tries to make her laugh, but Sion is too heartbroken. She's still in love with Young. Meanwhile, Young keeps drinking, trying to forget. He feels guilty for breaking her heart. Leo tries to comfort him, but Young locks himself in his room and cries. The next day at work, someone leaks a photo of him with Sion and her family at the restaurant. His secretary tells him there are rumors spreading. He doesn't care about himself, but he's worried about Sion. During the meeting, he hears employees making fun of her and gets angry, warning them that anyone who talks about her will regret it. Later, his grandmother finds out about the rumors and comes to his office. She asks him to fire the employee named Sion. He refuses and tells her he can't do that because Sion is his most important employee. His grandmother is shocked by his words and starts suspecting there's something between them. She asks the secretary to keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, Sion is on her way home when it starts raining. She goes to buy an umbrella but is overwhelmed by memories with Young and the beautiful moments they shared. She realizes how much she misses him and can't hold it in. When she gets home, she breaks down crying. Her father and brother see her and feel sorry for her. They realize she still loves Young. They hug her and try to comfort her. Days pass, and Young decides to focus on work to try and forget her and not cause her more problems. He even sleeps at the office. Sion sees him and is worried he'll fall from his chair. She rushes to support his head so he won't get hurt. She watches him sleep. The next day, she finds out he didn't come to work and is surprised since it's the first time ever. She asks the secretary and finds out he's sick. She worries and decides to visit him. She goes to the pharmacy and buys a lot of medicine, then goes to his house to check on him. The secretary sees her and informs the grandmother. When Sion arrives, she finds him collapsed on the floor. She runs to him and notices he has a high fever. She moves him to his bed and stays by his side to take care of him. She apologizes, saying it's her fault that he's in this state. Suddenly, he wakes up and is happy to see her. He thanks her and tells her that he'll keep loving her no matter what. She's moved by his words, forgives him, and tells him she loves him too. And since they're both respectful, they feed each other katayef. And it's not the raisins, it's Ziz the viewer. The next day, his health gets better. Sion is relieved to see his fever has gone down, so she decides to leave him and go to work. Young thanks her for everything she did and says goodbye. But just as she gets in the elevator, he runs after her, pulls her close, hugs her, and tells her that he misses her. She asks him to get some rest and leaves. She sneaks back home quietly so her father and brother won't notice that she stayed out all night, but her father sees her. She's scared, thinking he'll be angry, but he tells her, "I trust you and I want you to be happy." His words make her so happy, and she feels like she's living the best days of her life. But as we all know, good things never last. The next day, Young's cunning grandmother finds out about his relationship with Sion and decides to strip him of his position as company president. She also fires his secretary because she had been hiding Young's actions from her. Young is shocked by what happened and goes to his grandmother. He kneels on the ground, apologizing for letting her down. He tells her that after his parents died, he was sad and lonely until he met Sion, and for the first time, he felt happy. He asks her to give their relationship a second chance, but she refuses and tells him she's ashamed of him. She walks away, leaving Young hurt. He goes to meet Sion, who feels guilty and apologizes, thinking she caused all of this. But he comforts her, holds her hand, and says, "Now we can go out freely in public without fear. Isn't that a good thing?" They walk together all night, spending nice time together and feeling happy. The The next day, Sion goes to work, but Young is lost after leaving the company. He decides to go to Sion's father's workshop and offers to help. The father is surprised, thinking of him as some pampered rich boy, but Young wants to prove he's not soft, and he succeeds. He manages to fix the door lock all by himself. The father is impressed, saying it's the best door lock he's ever seen. This man is a man to be relied on. He decides to invite Young to dinner. Young insists on cooking for them himself. He steps into the kitchen and brings out the inner gourmet chef inside him, preparing the meal. The father is amazed and happy that this is the man his daughter is involved with. Later, Sion comes home and is surprised to see the food Young made. He continues treating her like a princess. They all eat together, and for the first time, Young feels like he belongs and is happy with them. The next morning, Sion wakes up to go to work and finds Young waiting to say goodbye. He tells her he'll miss her and even ties her sneakers for her, promising to make her the happiest woman in the world. Sion is touched by his tenderness and feels lucky to have him. Meanwhile, we see Sion's friend at the restaurant having a moment with Leo, but suddenly her mother walks in. She gets nervous and lies, saying Leo is a new employee. But her mom shows up with her ex-boyfriend and says he wants her back, trying to convince her to give him another chance. She refuses, saying he cheated. The mother says, "He cheated and now I'm here to patch things up?" Like, wow, what a mother. That night, there's a big company event for the new project. Suddenly, Young walks in and announces that he's the one behind the idea. We find out that before the event, he spoke to his grandmother and told her that the new CEO was taking bribes. He shows her evidence and asks her to reinstate him as CEO, saying he deserves it. The grandmother is shocked, but agrees on one condition. If the project fails, she'll fire him again. Our hero accepts the challenge, full of confidence. He promises the project will launch on time. After the event, he meets up with Sion and tells her he's back as CEO. He asks for her help. She's thrilled and agrees. They make a plan to get his grandmother to accept him and support their relationship. The next day, they go to the office together, and they decide to collaborate with Sion's team like one big family. They have a meeting to finalize their plan for the project. When it's over, Young invites everyone to lunch, feeds Sion with his own hands, and the team is impressed by their relationship. But back at the office, Sion notices that her coworkers are jealous of her. She overhears them talking and gets upset. She takes Young to her friend's restaurant to clear her mind, where she finds out her friend broke up with Leo because she was afraid he'd cheat on her like her ex did. Sion tells her that Leo is a good guy with genuine feelings and deserves a chance. Her friend is moved and decides to give Leo another shot. The next day, Sion goes to the office and meets the secretary, who tells her about the agreement between Young and his grandmother. She's shocked to learn that if the project fails, he'll be kicked out. She confronts Young, asking why he didn't tell her. He apologizes, saying he wanted to prove to her that he's now a successful and reliable man. He reminds her of when she said in the game that she dreamed of learning the piano. He surprises her by buying her a piano. Sion is touched and realizes how much he loves her. She thanks him and promises to always stand by his side. They grow closer, with one thing leading to another. Wink, wink. And you can imagine the rest, dear viewer. The next day, Young checks on the project's progress and sees a woman carrying food while a child runs toward her. He rushes to prevent an accident and grabs the kid, who ends up falling and crying. The father shows up, gets angry, and argues with Young. Despite Young trying to explain that he was trying to help, the father doesn't listen. He posts online claiming that Young is arrogant and pushed his child. The rumor spreads everywhere. Sion hears about it and fears the project will be affected. She goes to the kid's grandfather, gives him a gift, and explains the misunderstanding, telling him that Young was just trying to protect the child. The grandfather believes her and is happy with what she did. He hugs her and thanks her, but adds, "You broke my heart. I never want to feel that again." He walks away. The next day, the project's grand opening arrives. It's a big children's store. We learn that Young created it because he was deprived of a happy childhood and doesn't want other kids to suffer like he did. The children love the place, filled with toys and fun, and many families come. The place is packed, and Young is happy that the project is a success. He goes up on stage and tells everyone that he loves games and anime, and that he spent a gloomy childhood pretending to be someone else just to be admired. But now he wants people to be true to themselves. He goes to his grandmother and says, "I just wanted to prove that I'm successful, and now I have. But now, I'm resigning to do what I love." His grandmother is moved and lets him go. The next morning, Sion goes to visit her mother's grave since it's the anniversary of her death. She's surprised to find Young waiting there with flowers. When they finish, he decides to visit his parents' grave too. He introduces Sion to them and tells them she's the one he loves and that he no longer feels alone. On his way home, the secretary calls and tells him his grandmother went into his secret room. He panics, fearing she might throw away his toys, and runs back home. But when he arrives, he finds her holding a photo of his father and crying. She apologizes for being harsh with him and says it wasn't his fault his parents died. She admits she was wrong, hugs him, and asks for forgiveness. Young is moved by her words and cries, saying, "I was never mad at you, and I could never hate you." He's happy that their relationship has improved. The next day, he takes Sion, along with their friends, on a trip to the forest. They set up a tent and enjoy their time together, playing and laughing like kids. Their friends leave them alone, and while they're walking, it starts snowing. It's a romantic scene. They hug and confess their love. The next day, they return to the company. Suddenly, Young's grandmother arrives, and they get scared, thinking she'll oppose their relationship. But she surprises them by thanking Sion for standing by her grandson until he succeeded and proved he deserves to be her successor. She calls a meeting and announces to everyone that Young will be the next president of the company. Young is thrilled that his dream finally came true. That night, he takes Sion to his favorite hangout spot. They wear matching outfits and attend a concert by his favorite singer. They dance, and later he takes her to the beach, gets down on one knee, and proposes with a ring. Sion is surprised and touched that he still loves her despite her rejecting him once before. She's overjoyed and says yes. She hugs him, and they decide to spend their lives together, happily ever after, having sons and daughters. And now, dear viewer, tell us your name in the comments so they can name their kids after you. And toot toot, the tale is over. Let us know in the comments. Was it sweet or twisted? We salute you, dear viewer. Sa 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 salam.